All right. So, Wushka, it's a cloud-based reading program with a comprehension and writing focus. This will be an extension of your current reading program that you do currently have and that you would have been running on your last day of school. So in our new world, you'll still be supported with guided reading and independent reading, and I'll discuss the options of how to run this remotely for yourself and your students today. It requires no updates like an app does, so it's easy, low maintenance. There are 3 key features that I'll be telling you about today. The first being reading boxes, readers, and support materials. The second will be the teacher management functions. The third will be statistics. And I'll also show you some helpful resources, and I'll look at what the students will see when they log on as well, just so you can have a look at when you do eventually set up your groups, what they'll see. But the main objective for today is for you to feel confident at setting your levels and making your groups, getting those students up and running with Wushka. All right, so you all would have been given a login. If you haven't been able to activate this currently, can you please contact either the support Wushka email, which is support@wushka.com.au, or the rep who you have been dealing with. If you're the coordinator, that would be fantastic if you could work with your teachers to help them get up and running. So once you go into either the New Zealand or AU site, you'll log on. As you can see, I have 2 dashboards. When you're a teacher and not the coordinator, you'll just enter through the teacher dashboard. So what we'll be focusing on today is manage class list, manage reading groups, student log on, and if you scroll down, helpful resources and reading boxes. I'll just wait for that to load. The reason I'm taking you into the reading boxes first is because while you're planning, this is the best place to start. The reason being, it shows all 15 reading boxes right from magenta level 1, and if you scroll down, it will take you right through to black level 31++. If you click on the plus in the top right hand corner, it will expand the book box, showing all of the books within that level. But for planning purposes, the reason you would start here is because of the filter option in the top right hand corner. If you click on that, you'll be able to see that you can filter by theme. This is fantastic if you're wanting to continue your inquiry topic. For example, you might have had a focus for space for term 2 or term 3 that you're wanting to focus on. You'll have a range in here. Also, you have the filter to select non-fiction or fiction. Clearly, you would want your students to be exposed to both, but later on when I show you the statistics, you'll be able to see if students are reading more of one type of book, and you'll be able to decide whether you want to give them more fiction or non-fiction maybe for that week. The best part is the comprehension strategy. So you all know that you would have a learning intention for your students, and if you're wanting to work on a particular strategy, you'll find this here. So for example, if I click on compare and contrast and click filter results, it will pop out all of the compare and contrast books for each of the levels. To exit this, I just click reset. I'm going to show you now what will happen when you do open up a book, and this will be the same for students, but they'll have a slightly different view when they go on to their logon, and I'll show you that later on. So when you open it, you'll see the description of the book, and it will provide some detail. So the best part is you'll be given some phonics, you'll be given content words, consonants, blends. You'll also be provided with a follow-up activity. Down the left-hand side, it will have the reading level. It will say whether it's a non-fiction or fiction book, the theme or topic. But the best part is for those lower levels, if you're planning to focus on high frequency words, you'll be able to see these words here. So if you're focusing on the word the, you'll be able to tell if this word would fit that theme or learning intention for the week. You'll also be given some support materials. Now, please note that students are not able to access any of these. You will have to send them to them. These are all printable worksheets. If you download either the app called Showbie or Explain Everything, you'll be able to get your students to download the worksheet that you've sent to them. They'll be able to open this in Showbie or Explain Everything, and it will change this printable worksheet to being a digital worksheet. That means they won't have to print it if they don't have access to a printer. They'll be able to work right on the worksheet, and if you want to check it, they can email it back to you, making it nice and easy, especially with our remote learning. So the Blackline Master is a follow-up worksheet. The lesson plan will give a breakdown of how you can run your lesson with that particular book. This is fantastic because you could have this open as well as the Wushka tab, and you could flip between the two while you're running your Zoom platform guided reading lesson or whatever platform you are using, which is fantastic. You also have printable readers. 90% of them over here will be wordless. 90% of the books will have a wordless version, which is great for those younger readers as well, as they'll be able to have a go at writing the beginning, middle and end for sequencing. There's a couple of other options as well. We've got word cards, which are great for sequencing sentences, and as well as a reading record. I'm going to open up a book now, but just quickly, while you are planning, if you do decide, I like this book, I want my students to read it next week or the week after, just click bookmark and it will save to your bookmarks box down the bottom here, making it quick and easy when you enter your reading groups. To open up the book, you press the play button and it will open up. Up in the right-hand corner here, there is a play button to have narration. You can decide whether you want all of your students to have this or just some. It's fantastic for oral language, so I do recommend that you leave that function on, but as I said later in the statistics, if you notice that students are only having narration with their books, which is great for oral language, we do want them to be reading them as well. So you can individually turn that off for students, and I'll show you how to do that later on. So this is the book open. This will look exactly the same for students when they log on. So when you're in your platform having your guided reading session, you could turn off all the students and have them unmute themselves and read one page at a time and listen to them. When you've finished the book, you just click the X and make sure that your students do the same. This will make sure that their reading time is recorded and will save all of the data. It will pop up with this box saying, would you like to complete the quiz for this school reader? I'm going to select yes, just to show you what it looks like. This is also optional, and I'll show you again what this does look like with turning it on and off for individual students or as a class. So I'm going to go through and answer the questions very quickly for you. There's 5 questions, and they'll be based on either inferential, literal, or evaluative questions. The great thing is we encourage students to reread books. So if they aren't happy with their score at the end, they can go back and reread their book again, which is a fantastic part of Wushka. I'm going to go back now to the dashboard. Please feel free to ask questions to Louise at the moment if you are unsure of anything in the reading boxes section. I'm going to enter Manage Class List. This is where you need to make sure you get all of your settings correct before you generate your student letters and send them out to your students. The reason being, we don't want them to get their logon details and be able to access every book and every level. So to explain, it will pop up, it will have their first name, their surname, a username. Now this is a generated username. You cannot change it. I know as some of you are children and students in younger levels, you'd be worried about them typing this in, being 2 capital letters, a hyphen, and numbers. They're working on their own devices at the moment, so they'll be able to save their username and password, making it very easy for them to log on. The password that they'll originally have will look like this, temp password. You can change this password for individual students just by clicking on the blue dotted line, typing in whatever password you would like, and make sure to always click the red tick, which is like a save button. To change the password for the whole class, you'd go up to Manage Class, Set Class Password, and type in whatever password you would like. You might like to make it your room number, say room 1, Wushka. I'm just going to make mine 123. As you can see, it's changed for the whole class. Now looking at the reading level, this is for independent reading. So if Deborah, for example, was reading at level 9, I'm going to set her independent reading level for 6 to 8 and click the red tick. The level access that I want her to have, for our recommendation would be to have reading level and 1 reading level below. Reading group. Now to set up your reading groups, you can do it, you will be able to click on the blue dot and access all of your groups, but first you need to go up to Manage Class, Create Reading Group, and type in each of your reading groups in here. You will have to follow that process of Manage Class, Create Reading Group to create each of your reading groups. Once you've entered all of that in, click on the blue dotted line, select the down arrow, and select the reading group that that particular child is in. Again, I recommend that you base this off the last reading group that your student was in on the last day of school. Reading group permissions. Now this is where it's going to be slightly different depending on what you're wanting to use Wushka for. If you are using Wushka for independent reading only, you will keep this on. If you are going to be using Wushka for guided reading, but parents will be facilitating this, leave it on as well. That way students will be able to go on, they'll have those guided reading books, but just let the parents know and emphasize that it is meant to be an unseen text. So the students are only to read that with an older sibling, caregiver, or parent, because they'll be able to access it at any time. If you are running the guided reading session through a platform such as Zoom or Google Classroom, I recommend that you turn this off, just like so. The reason being is, for example, Deborah and her Tigers reading group for guided reading, they're going to have their session at 1 o'clock today. Just before their session at 12:55, I would go on and make this on. That way she'll be able to access her Tigers reading books. Once the session is over, I would go back in and turn this off. Now that will not affect the independent reading book box. They will still be able to access all of the levels below. They just won't be able to access the guided reading books, which you would like to keep as unseen text. Moving along to narration. As I said before, if you have children who continually just listen to narration and are not reading books, you can turn this off individually by clicking on the blue dotted line and saving no. To manage this as a class, go Manage Class, Set Class Narration, and you can keep it on for everyone or turn it off for everyone. Again, we've got the quizzes. So that was a comprehension quiz at the end of the book that I showed you. At the moment, I would say keep it on as compulsory. Now, the comprehension questions are not read out loud. There is no play button for this. The reason being is we would like students to be supported. So it needs to be read by an older sibling, caregiver, parent, or teacher at the end of the book. So you can decide whether this is optional or compulsory by going up to Manage Class, Set Class Quizzes, and choosing one of the 5 options here. If you have a new student enter at any point during the year, you can enter in their details here and click Add Student, and it will pop up, such as Jenny Jones. It will be she'll have nothing set, and you'll have to set all of those options for her. So that was Manage Class List. I'm going to go into reading groups now, which you can access either down the bottom here or going into My Dashboard and then Reading Groups. This is what you'll see. Down the left-hand side, you'll have all of your reading levels. Down the right-hand side, you'll have your reading groups. Please make sure that you click what reading group you are choosing books for. I'm going to be choosing for tigers. And I'm going to be selecting blue books for them. As you can see, all of the blue books have popped up into this field. If I would like to see a snapshot of the book because I'm unsure if I'd like that one, I simply click on the magnifying glass and it will pop up with a brief description. From there, you'll be able to decide if you would like to have that book or not. If you think, yes, I would like to have that one, you click on the plus. It will leave this section, and as you can see, it's popped over into their reading book box. If they've had this book and you want to remove it, click on the archive folder at the top left-hand side, and it will take it out. As you can see, it's popped back over here. And the way for you to know that a child or group has read this book before is it will now display a folder with a plus instead of just the plus sign. This being said, it does not mean that they cannot read this book again. If you just click on that folder, it will add back over here. Obviously, children may need to read a book several times before they can comprehend it, or you may have new students enter that group and you might need to cover that book again. That is up to you. Also, if you have any books that have been bookmarked, it will pop up with a yellow star. That's just a helpful reminder to you to show you that you liked that book and you wanted it, and it's easy for you to add it back into the group. If you are going to be selecting books and being quite specific with your guided reading, instead of Xing each book out of that book box, go up to the tool icon, select Archive All Books, and click Submit. I'm not going to do it because I would like to show you what the student sees when she logs on, but if I were to click Submit, all of these books would empty out of this book box and go back over here, and this would be empty, giving you a clean slate. I'm now going to go into the class statistics. So class statistics are fantastic because it will give you a snapshot of how long students are reading the book for, how many readers they are reading per week, and the average quiz results. So for example, Faye Brewer reads 5 books. She's reading her books for about 48 seconds and her comprehension results are at 84. So you would be able to take this and think, oh, I might do a running record on her, which there are helpful resources, and I will show you these in a little bit if you would like to continue gathering assessment data on your students, especially for reporting back to parents later on in the year. So you might use this data in conjunction with a running record and comprehension results and decide she may need to move up a level. As you can see, Hector, he's only reading 4 books. The average time that he's reading is 25 seconds and his comprehension results are quite low. So I would be concerned and thinking maybe this level's too hard for him. And I'd also like to know what time he is reading his books at night, because we don't encourage devices late at night. We want students to read fresh, maybe in the morning or in the afternoon after they've had their lunch and a bit of food. So I'm going to go into student statistics now. Now students will be able to see this data too. Nothing is a secret. We like students to be in charge of their own learning. We want them to know what their next steps are. So if you scroll down, this will show how many books Faye has read as a new book or reread. Like I said before, we encourage rereading for comprehension. These are how many books they have read. Obviously, students love this one because they get very excited to show family and friends how many books they've read overall. And fiction and non-fiction. You want to make sure there's a nice balance here. As I said before, you can allocate books by filtering them to either fiction or non-fiction if students are favouring one or the other. And here we've got the narration. So if students are purely just listening to narration, you'll be able to see that data here, and that's when you might turn off narration for that one particular student. If you scroll down to the bottom and click on See All Quiz Results. As I said before, Hector had low comprehension results and his book was only open for a brief time. If I have a look here, he was reading at 10:38 p.m. at night. So that would be a concern, and it might lead to a conversation with parents. It will also provide the book title, the score that he got for his comprehension. And if you click on view, it will provide you with more data, and you'll be able to go through and see what questions was he getting right, what questions was he getting wrong. And it might be a point where you could do some planning and decide, I need to focus on inferential questions, literal questions, or evaluative questions in your planning. All right, I'm going to go back to my dashboard now, and I'm going to scroll down the bottom and show you helpful resources. So for those of you who are program coordinators, you were sent a basic Wushka startup document. If you'd like some more information, you'll find that here. If you scroll down, you'll also be able to download the reading level correlation chart. So you'll be able to match the readers to what level you are. This is based off the Ready to Read colour wheel, which was started by Learning Media and the New Zealand Ministry of Education. As I said before, if you would like to continue to do running records, this is where you would go. If you scroll down on this page, it will tell you how to do a running record, but I know that many of you would have done hundreds of these before being teachers, and you will be experts. The best part is it will tell you what books under what level you can use to support running records. Just going to hop back out of there. You also have your literacy progress markers. So again, you'll know this really well, but it just will say what learning intentions students are trying to reach under each level. And if you're looking at moving them up, you can use it as a guide to know whether they're achieving each of those. Now, to generate student letters, I'm going to show you how to do that now, but I recommend when you do it, you're going to send it home with the parent leaflet, just so that the parents can understand what Wushka is all about. So to generate student letters, I'm going to go back into my dashboard, manage class, generate student letters. Now again, you only do this once you have set up your reading groups and levels, because we don't want students to have access to every book and level. Now, as you can see, it's the whole class. For privacy reasons, you would not want to send this as one PDF. You can use a snipping tool on your computer to crop this and send each individual logon to each individual student. I'm going to quickly go back to helpful resources. So you would pair that with the parent leaflet. If you are using social media and you would like to let all of your parents know that you are using Wushka, we've got some easy Facebook links here that you can use. All right, I'm going to quickly show you the student logon so you can see what they will see when they go on to Wushka. So down the bottom, you've got student logon. Once you click on a student, it will log you out and log you under that student. So I'm going to go to Brewer. And this is what she will see. Reading group, Dolphins, and it has all of her books. As I said previously, if you are running a guided reading session and you have the permissions selected to off, she would not be able to see this. She would only see this once you turned it on just before the guided reading session. When she scrolls down, it will have all of her independent reading, which she will be able to access at any time. If she clicks the plus, it will open up that box and she will see all of the text. Down the bottom, and I'll quickly show you what they see when they open the book, because it is slightly different to what you see. This is what they'll see. So you've got the description up the top here, a quick activity that they could do to follow up. It has some suggestions for other books if they enjoyed the book Bubbles, and it has the reading level that they are. If the student reads this book and they think, oh, I really liked that, I'd like to read it again, they can click Favorite, and it will pop down to this Favorites tab down the bottom here for them to have easy access to it anytime. When they open their book, it is exactly the same as what you see. So they'll have their narration up the top. Phase has been turned off. That's why you cannot see it in the top right-hand corner. Maybe she was listening to too much narration and needs to start reading. If I click the cross arrow, again, it's exactly the same as what you will see as a teacher. And I have to make sure that she clicks the X. It says get started, and it's automatically taken me to the comprehension quiz. Remember, you can turn this on and off for individual students. If they click on my page, it will generate all of their assessment notes. Again, we don't keep anything a secret. We want them to know what they're working towards. We want them to be in charge of their learning, and this will be displayed. And it's great for open conversations and to keep that pathway between school and home still open, even in this remote learning environment. Again, they'll be able to click on see all quiz results, and they'll be able to see their individual results there. And if they click on favorites, they'll see their favorite books there as well. If they've decided that they don't like it anymore, they can click remove. All right, so I'm going to go back to the main page now. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to open up the chat box now, and if you have any questions, please feel free to type that in now, and myself or Louise will answer them for you. Two quick things before you go. You can save your chat. By doing this, if you open up your chat, and if you scroll down to the last comment that was made, there will be 3 dots, and it will, if you hover your mouse over it, it will say more. If you click on this and click save chat before you exit, it will automatically save to a folder on your computer. Again, I'm recording this session, so if you'd like a copy of this video and a copy of the chat, email support@wushka.com.au and we'll send you a copy of the video along with the chat. Also, we're all about supporting teachers. So if you go to tips and tricks, which I'll just show you, and share any handy ideas that you have or how you've been using Wushka, we would love for you to share those, because we're all about supporting one another at this moment. So it's just in the main dashboard. If you click tips and tricks, we've got some ideas up there for you, but if you have any new ones, we would love to hear them. So if you just put your name, email, your school, and your tip or trick, it will add to this. And it's just a great place where we can go and support one another. So I'm going to have a look at the chat now, and we'll get answering some of your questions. So Stephanie, if they like the set school reader, can they open one of the suggested books, or does it need to be assigned by the teacher? If they like one of the books, they can favorite it, and then they'll always be able to access it. The books that they can access are independent, so it's below their guided reading level. You can select, I'll quickly show you, you can select in the manage class section for students to be able to access all levels below. That will give them quite a range. So here under manage class level access, I've suggested to pick your reading level and one below, but if you click on the blue dotted line, you can go levels below reading level only and click the red tick. That way they'll be able to see everything below. So she would be able to see everything that is yellow and below. For the running records, we don't have a recording function. I would say if you're using Zoom or Google Hangouts or Google Classroom, one of those platforms, you would be able to set a meeting with that student, have your Wushka book open, they'll also log on, and you'll be able to set that Wushka book for them, and they will read it aloud to you. And it will just be the same, that as they're reading, you'll tick for the words they have correct and cross for the ones that they have incorrect, and then collate your data from there using the running record calculator online. Or if you know that algorithm, then you can work that out straight away. But no, we don't have a recording function. If you wanted to, you could record the session much like I'm doing. So go in, find the record button, record it, and then you can save that and you can listen back to it if need be. But it would be the same as what we're doing now. You would create a meeting with that particular student, set them a book, they would open the book, they would read it to you aloud, you'd be able to hear, and then you'd be able to do your running record from that. Oh, I'm so glad you got lots of information from it. Any more questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question if there's anything that you've got on your mind or your question has not been answered. If you leave this session and you find that you go away and something pops into mind, feel free to email the support@wushka.com.au email. Otherwise, you can email myself and I can share that with you now. So my email is down the bottom there, but we've also got the support@Wushka email as well. I'm so glad you're feeling a lot better about it, Jason. I'm sure you'll be awesome. And if you do get stuck at all, please reach out. That's what we are here for. We've got a whole team here to support you, but do go to your coordinator and your rep as well, as they'll be able to give you lots of knowledge. Nicola, can your student access previous readers even if you do not give access to new reader for the week? Yes, if you have not removed them from their book box. So if you've kept them there, they will still be able to access them. But if it is in the guided reading book box, they won't be able to access them until they open up, until you give them permission. If you do just have permission set as on, they'll be able to access all of those books. So you might want, if you are wanting to keep that on, you can just say to your students, feel free to reread the books that we have read previously in your group reading book box, but don't open the ones that we have not read until I instruct you to do so. Yes, it's Elizabeth. It's definitely suitable for independent readers in years 4 to 6. It goes right up to level 31++. So I'd recommend you to open up some of those books and have a look, because I'm sure you would find a lot of resources there and reading material that would support those readers for sure. I'm so glad that I was able to help you get started. And if you do go away and you feel as though you need another session, even if it's how to set up your guided reading group more specifically with just 5 reading books and how to turn the permission on and off, you can have another session with your rep and they'll be able to cover that with you. Oh, thank you everyone for joining. It's been great having you all here today. If there's no more questions and you all feel really happy with the session, feel free to leave. We've done really great for time, everyone. Oh, thanks, Alyssa. Thanks, Nicola. Oh, thanks, Jim. So as Louise said, it's definitely for all year levels, prep up to 6. Note that upper levels are shorter text and great for critical literacy focus. No, so archiving is not for students when you are under that group book box function. It's just to archive the books. If you are wanting to archive students, you can talk to your coordinator about that. That would be at the end of the year, say, or if a student left partway through, there is a way to archive a student and remove them from the class, but that would be a conversation with your coordinator. Yes, Wushka is very exciting, Kate. It's awesome, and it truly is just an extension of your current reading program. It's not gamified, which is the best part. Thanks, Louise. So Louise just said, go to your class list, then manage class, click archive student, and click the student's name. That will remove them from that group, but if you're looking to just remove books, click on the folder, and that will archive the book back into the book box. I'm so glad you found it informative, Linda. So remember, if you'd like a copy of this video, email support@wushka.com.au with your name, first and last, your email, and what school you're from, and we'll get that to you as soon as possible, just for your reference. But again, if you do get stuck, feel free to email myself, your rep, your coordinator. We're all here to help you. And again, thank you for being so patient with Wushka. It should be running perfectly for you now. But if you do have any hiccups, please let us know, as we welcome your feedback. Oh, thanks, Janine. Feel free to leave the session now if you have got all of your questions answered. If there's anyone else, you can put those questions through to now through chat or by unmuting yourself. So Louise just said to archive a student to remove them from the class or school on the Wushka site is via the class list, manage class. Archiving a reading group within the reading group's book is just removing a book from the group. So removing a student from the guided reading group, you do this in the manage class list. It depends on what platform you've got, Kay Hodgson. So if you're wanting to be able to see the students reading, you would just be able to see, obviously, them reading and holding their device. It won't show their book open to you. It'd just be like if you were to turn your video on now and I had my videos on, you can see me currently. But otherwise, you'd just be able to hear them. So could you say what platform you're using your guided reading session on? Right, so you're on Zoom. So that's what we're on currently. So what you would get them to do is make sure that when they're reading, get them to unmute themselves. Otherwise, have them all unmuted if you trust them to keep quiet while one student is reading. And otherwise, you could just get them to unmute themselves, ask them to read a particular page. So say, Delphi, could you read page 2? And just remind them to unmute themselves. If they're on mute, they would read that and then just say thank you, and they can mute themselves, but you'd be able to hear them. Yes, you can change student reading groups after they are set. You just go back in to reading groups. Hold on, I will just open it up for you. So up top here, you've got reading groups. Say Deborah, I've just tested her. She's moving up from tigers. I go into reading group, select the down arrow, and I'll select dolphins, which is the next group up, and click the tick. If I'm making a new group, because currently I've got say everyone's currently below green level, but I've got a child moving up to turquoise, I'll just go to manage class, create reading group, and name my brand new reading group, say it's bears, and that will be for turquoise. And then I can just go to Deborah, who's moving up into that bears turquoise reading group, and change her into that one. I hope that makes sense, Jade. Perfect. Any last questions? We've got about 1 minute to go. Oh, thank you so much again, everyone who joined me today. I hope you found that really informative and you're going to walk away confident using Wushka and getting your students set up and using it. I'm going to stop the video now, but thank you again for coming. And if you do want a copy, remember email support@wushka.com.au with your name, first and last, the school, and your email, and we'll send a copy to you. All right, lovely meeting you. Bye.